Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I'm about to head out to the greenhouse for the first time today. And today I'm going to be working on my 60th birthday Scots pine. All right, out I go. I have been outside today. I shoveled the driveway already. You can see now the plow did come by. I had the sidewalk all shoveled here. Plow came by and filled it all in again. But I don't know. All right, let's head to the backyard. See what's going on. So it's still snowing today. Plenty of snow, that's for sure. Still looks very beautiful outside. I think we'll go this way. I don't want to go under the cedar tree. It'll drop all kinds of snow on me when I go underneath it. Wow, is it ever white out here and beautiful? Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Looks like the greenhouse is kind of cleared a bit of snow off the roof there. It's kind of melted or slid off. That's good. Might be a little brighter inside today. All right, let's head inside now. Oh, yeah. You can see all the icicles that have fallen off down here. Okay. In we go. Except the door's frozen. Okay. Okay. It's really frozen. Usually it doesn't freeze. Wow. Well, the other one's frozen too. It might be the tracks down here are filled with water or snow or something. I might have to clean those out. There it goes. All right. Now we can go inside. Quite nice in here. So I've got my apple tree up on the bench there. I might have to I'm not sure if the Scots pine will fit there. I'll try and get it up on the bench. So the apple tree will have to go over here. Move my tools out of the way. The apple tree can go over here. That. I'm going to have to move the turntable. I think the Scots pine's too heavy for the turntable. It's a heavy-duty turntable, but that's an awfully heavy pot. Okay. I'm just going to clean off the bench here. All right. Let's rearrange these trees here. Move the Scots pine over here. And the Douglas fir forest can go down here. I'll be working on the Douglas fir forest soon also. It needs pruning back. Okay, this is going to require some lifting here. Turn the other heater off. Okay, so I've got to get this up on top of the bench. Good thing it has these carry straps. Here I go. Woo! Heavy. Very, very heavy. I'll be glad to someday get it out of this pot and into a smaller pot. It'd be really, 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 really nice. Okay, so there is the tree. I think this is somewhere near the front, I do believe. Let's go in and have a look at it. So this pine, I haven't done a lot of work to it. I think I did some branch pruning, but I'm going to do more today. All the energy in this tree is stored in the trunk and the roots right now, and a bit in the branches. So if I prune back these branches, all that energy will then go into the development that I need, which is closer to the trunk line. This tree's starting to get a little wide. It's kind of wide and spreading for the size of it. I'd like to bring it in more compact. So branches like this that are very full, I can prune them back, make them more compact. My number one goal for this tree is to grow a root system into this new bonsai soil I put around the trunk. Hopefully growing a new set of roots. So eventually, and maybe we'll check in on the roots in fall of this year, but it may take a couple of years to grow new roots into the bonsai soil and then cut off the old roots that are down below. So I didn't disturb the root system up to about here. It's all the original soil. The roots have never been touched. The upper part of the pot here, I took out all the old soil with the hose and I replaced it with bonsai soil. So the theory is that the roots should grow in the better bonsai soil, and eventually I can cut off all those bottom roots and eventually get a nice compact root system so it'll fit into a bonsai pot. This is called the top-down method of repotting. I just heard about it last year for the first time, and it seems to work okay from what I've seen online. So trying it on this tree because it had a very poor root system up top here. All right, so I think it's time to do some work on this tree. There's a lot of branches, like here's a branch here. It's very straight. It's not a very good branch. Yeah, there's a lot of branches that are kind of long, and there's no budding on here at all. This is my furthest bud. This is the bud closest to the trunk. So, ideally I'd want buds back in here. However, it's still a good looking tree the way it is. So, anything I can do to get it more compact is just totally bonus. This tree has the potential of being my best pine bonsai. I'm being very cautious with the styling of it. I'm doing it slowly. I'm studying the tree. I'm not rushing into doing everything at once. So again, with the pruning today, I'm being very careful. I don't want to, weaken the tree too much. I want to look for nice flowing branches here. Okay, so there's one here. It's quite weak, and it comes off this branch. You can see here there's 1, 2, 3 in a row that are all parallel to each other. I gotta pick one of those. There's a dead one here. I can prune that off. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, that one was just dead. So let's, another dead one on the bottom here. I'll get rid of that. So out of these 3 branches, which one flows the best? This one's very weak here. You can see the needles are yellowy. There's not much of a bud at all on the end of it. So I'm going to prune off the weak one, which is this one. Like that. This next one is very strong and has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buds at least. Actually, more than that. It has a whole bunch in here. Let me show you a close-up of that. Here's a close-up of that branch. So you can see in here all the buds. There's just a ton of them. So this is a very vigorous branch. The next one is this one. It has a lot of length. It could be pruned back. But it's not as close to the branch line as this one. So I think this vigorous one that's close to the branch is the one to keep, and I'll get rid of this one. All right, here goes that one. It's coming off. Just like that. We'll put all this aside so we can do a carnage cam in the end. Oh my goodness. All right. So that solves that problem of having 3 branches in a row here. There still is another one here, but that could become a branch leader. Just removing some of the old needles in here, some brown needles. So the next problem is underneath here, there's a couple of weak branches. This one is in the shade. It's very, very weak. It doesn't flow. It doesn't have any foliage close to the trunk line, so that one's going to come off also. So right here, there's that one, very weak. Now, off of this branch line, I have a very strong shoot here. This could be the branch leader if I want that length, but I don't think I do. I think I want to bring this branch back. So I think this one has to come off also. And I have all kinds of buds in at the base of it. So yeah, I can take this whole length off. It's a beautiful branch. It's just too far out. It makes the tree too spreading. If you can imagine the tree without that branch, it brings it a lot more compact and it looks a lot more miniature. Right now you've got this side spreading out here and this side spreading out there, and it looks very wide. So that's got to come off. So here I go. This is a pretty big cut. I'll get my branch pruners out. Here's a look at that branch. So this is the one I wanted to shorten, but I have to make sure there's buds in here that can be the new branch leader. I don't want this branch coming out, cut off to a blunt, end, and then have all these side shoots on it. I want something that keeps the branch flowing. And it looks like I do have some good buds in here that can take over as the leader of this branch, so I can cut this whole length off. So here I go. I will cut that whole length off. Wow, this is really going to change the look of the tree. Here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. So that comes off. So now you can see how much more compact this branch is. It's really brought in and it looks quite a bit better. Okay, so I think that's got this branch in shape. It's as compact as I can get it. Still got lots of good healthy foliage at the ends. Should do quite well. So I think the next branch is maybe the one behind it here. There's, a big sweeping branch coming down here. So I'll rotate the tree around so you can kind of get a look at that. So here it is. And again, if I can bring this branch in, the tree will just look so much better. And if you can't bring it in, if you don't have any back budding that you can take the branch back to, just leave it, let it grow really healthy. And if these branches are exposed to sunlight, they eventually will back bud. It's amazing on pines. Give them the right conditions and they'll back bud. As long as the wood isn't like really, really, really old. So here I've got, there's two parts to this branch. It comes out to this point and then it splits into two horizontal branches. And the one right here it comes up and divides into three, and they're all kind of arching upwards and down. I've at least got to divide that into two. This one's quite nicely developed at the tip here. This one comes up very vertical. The other one is kind of weak, but it has some good foliage. There's another bud at the base down here. I think, this one has two buds at the base, which is good. So I'm going to take the vertical one off. This one here. It doesn't really have much going for it. So here I go. That comes off. So I'm divided from 1 to 2 here. Now on this one I can bring it back a little bit, but not very far. Not until like these buds start developing stronger back here. This one I could take the tip back. There's a good shoot here. But again, there's not much going on here. I'm going to leave it for now because I can't really do much with it. It may back bud somewhere in here because it's probably getting more light than it used to, because I think I did a bit of branch pruning up here earlier. So, yeah, I'll leave that one. This part of the branch, you can see, well, there's one that sticks straight up here. I'll take that off, like that. It divides from 1 to 2. I'm just taking a dead branch off the bottom. And they subdivide. I could take a vertical shoot off here, like that. And the rest are all kind of horizontal or weeping. So that's as much as I can do that branch tip today anyway. Now the other part of this branch is stronger, and it divides. Let me rotate it again. So here it is. So this is the stronger part here, and it divides from 1 into 3 here. This branch is going to take some pruning, I think. Let me get it back to the front, somewhere near the front. Let's see what's going on. It's too long. If I could bring it into here, it would be really nice, kind of keeping this canopy compact, but I don't know how much I can do. I'll put the camera kind of above looking down. I think you'll get a better idea of what's going on with this branch. Hopefully that view helps a bit. So here's the side. It comes out and it divides from 1 to 3 here. So I want it dividing from 1 to 2, so I've got to pick which branches I want to keep. The ones that flow are these two. This one's kind of 90 degrees to this branch, and it kind of crosses over top of this one, the one beside it. So there's a problem here. If I pruned this one off, I would get better flow lines, and I'd avoid that crisscrossing of the branches. Now the only thing that stops me doing that is there's some good foliage in at the base of that branch. I've got to shoot each side here. So I could cut it back. So I think I will. I think I'll just cut it back for now to here. I'm going to leave a bit of a stub. So that comes off. So now I don't have that crisscrossing, but I still have it dividing from 1 to 3. If I look at this one, I have one shoot back here on this branch right here, and one here. So theoretically I could eventually cut it back to those shoots, but I'd have to wait until these ones get stronger because they're too weak. If I cut it back to there now, that branch might live, it might die. So I got to keep some sap flowing to that branch. So that is a possibility, is that this one could be reduced back to these buds eventually. And then on this strong side here, I've got some good shoots back here. I've got a good shoot here. I've got some underneath. So I think I can do some reduction here. I'm going to take off, there's a thick branch here, and I've got two branches each side of it that are much finer and closer to the trunk line. So I can take this one off. And again, I'll leave a bit of stub for dieback. So that comes off. Pretty significant cut. So also on this branch, I've got a thick, very long section here. I have one bud here. I got these ones back here. I've got some budding in this area. So I could at least, I'm trying to think, I'm going to take it back, but I'm just trying to decide where to. I guess to here for now. It's a little longer than I wanted, but you know, you can only do so much of it at one time. So that end comes off. And then this one, I'm going to take the bottom off of it, just shortening it a bit. And then I have one coming out the side here. It kind of grows straight towards this other branch. It doesn't flow with the branch lines. I don't think I'll ever want that. I have a better shoot here, so I'm going to take that right off. So here I go, like that. Again, keeping this branch a little more compact. So I think that's about it for that branch. That's about all I can do on there. And as I said, when this strengthens up, I can do more. There is one shoot sticking straight up here. I'm going to remove that. It's just too vigorous. I've got two side shoots below it. Okay, so that's got that branch pruned up. It made some progress today, which is important. I'll rotate the pine back to the front and we'll have a look and see if it looks any different. There's kind of the front somewhere there. Yeah, so it's brought in more compact. It looks more like an upright tree rather than this really wide spreading tree. I think that looks much better. The next branch I'm going to work on is back here. Let me rotate it around. So there's two branches going side by side. There's a skinny one and a thick one here. The thick one divides, so I've got it kind of coming up here and there's some weak growth on the tip of that. And then it goes out the back and there's very, very strong growth on the back part. And then I've got a thin branch that comes here and there's some good, strong, compact growth on that. Now, there's no rule that says I can't have two branches going side by side. It happens in nature. It happened on this tree, in fact. But I've got to decide what I'm going to do here. So let me rotate it around. So here's all that growth out of the back part of that division. We lift that up. And here's the weak growth in this part of the division. So it's very interesting. I'm thinking maybe what I could do is keep this branch with the growth out here, get rid of this part of this branch and keep the back part. So I'd have this as the sort of the front part of this branch and this is the back part. That might be a good solution. This is very straight here. It goes upright. I mean, you could wire it down or something, but I'm going to try and do this tree with clip and grow. I'm very happy with the results of clip and grow. I don't want to abandon my techniques of clip and grow. You know, if I have to use guy wires in the future, I don't mind using those, but I kind of want to do as much of the shaping of the tree with clip and grow as I can. So, is that what I want to do, is prune off this part? Probably. That's my answer. Now, it does leave kind of a negative space here, but then I've got this branch. And maybe, you know, I've got the lower branches here, the canopy up here, so maybe I've got that asymmetry. That would look good. Pines, generally, you don't want your lower branches on the same level. You want them staggered so it doesn't look boring, the bottom of your canopy. So, I'm not liking this branch. It's very stiff, straight, with no taper, no movement. I am going to remove it. Now I am going to leave a stub to make it deadwood, you know, like I did with these other branches. So here I go. I'm going to get my branch cutters, and I've got to decide where I'm going to cut it. And you know, I've got a branch here, it comes up, I would think somewhere about here. So here I go, cutting it off, big cut coming up. Make sure I'm recording, I am. Here I go. Oh, there goes that branch. Beauty of a branch. But, so now you can see, you know, I've got this branch, which I can maybe eventually grow more forward, and the one out the back. So let's rotate the tree once again. And this will be made into deadwood in the future, and maybe even today. So on this branch, I definitely want to grow it forward. This is dead here, I'll take this off. This is dead on the bottom, I'll take that off. This is dead. Not much growing at the tip there. It's got some good back budding in here. You know, maybe if I shorten this branch above it, it'll get light and it should grow pretty well. Probably grow up front, which is what I want. There's a back part to it here. I'm not sure I want this part going towards the back. I want to grow the branch out here. So you can see this is getting sun, it's really strong. This isn't getting sun and it's weak. So I got to make sure that gets sun. So I don't like this part. The branch comes out here and then this comes 90 degrees, so I'm going to remove it. So I'll leave a stub. Here I go. Oh, nice branch coming off. So you can see this branch kind of flows a bit better now. Then I got the part coming out the back. It divides from 1 to 2 here. There's some vertical growth I can remove here. Taking that off the top of the branch. I've got this branch comes out. I want to bring it in more compact, so you can see I've got a division here where this branch divides from 1 to 3. I've got compact growth in that one. This one's very long and leggy, comes out the back. This one's more compact, so I'm going to remove this one. Here I go. Another big cut. At this point, I've got a junction here. I'm dividing from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 branches in this spot. Again, I want to bring this in compact, so I'm going to take the longer part off here, like that. I've got vertical shoot I can remove here, like that. And I got a dead one coming out the bottom. I'll just cut that back. And I got a third branch here that doesn't flow at all. I'm going to remove that. And that has got that branch tip pruned up there. That should be quite good. Let's look at the next one here. This one, you can see how busy it is. So again, I want to bring it in compact. So I've got a branch that's growing back in towards the center of the tree. I'll get rid of that for starters. I have got some vertical growth here, which actually looks okay. Whole branch is quite nice, actually. There is a branch here. It grows at the crotch of these other 2 branches. Not so keen, and it's kind of long, so I'm going to remove that one. Like that. Like that. Helps get it a little more compact. I've got this part of the branch goes over top of the other part, so I'm going to take that off and keep my ones that are kind of fanning out this direction. So the branch has its own spot of sunlight. It's not shading out the branches below. Like that. So you can see this branch is in the sun now, and this branch is over here in the sun. Very important on pines to keep the branches in the sunlight to keep them strong. As soon as they get shaded out, boy, do they get weak. Take this dead branches back here a bit. Now, I'm trying to determine if I need to take this height off here. I kind of like it. It's almost like a separate tree. I think I'm going to keep that. You know, it's got a spot of sun here to go upwards, so I'm going to leave that for now. Can I do any more thinning here? Probably. I'm going to remove the vertical shoot here, like that. It divides from 1 to 3 here. This one shades out the lower branch below it, so I'm going to get rid of that. Like that. I still have a lot of branches coming from here. I'll get rid of this little one here, this weak one. Like that. I think that is about it. I still have 3 branches growing from this one area. I think I'll get rid of this other one on the inside here. There. That fixes that up. So this branch is looking pretty good. Once this develops a bit, I can take this one off. Once I get a bit of vigor into this branch. For now, it has to stay on. Better to err on the safe side on pines rather than be too aggressive and lose the branch. So, that's got that branch pruned up. Amazing. So next, I've got this one. Did I do that one already? Yes, I did. Okay, I've done that one. So I'm going up higher now. I think this is the next one, this thick one here. I've got to look at this from the front. Which, you know, may not be the front someday. Who knows? So you're kind of looking at the front there somewhere. So that branch kind of goes out the back, depending on where the front is. If it's here, well, you can see it pretty good. If I rotate it more to there, you can't really see it as much. It kind of disappears out the back. Could I remove it? It's very thick for being that high up in the tree. Let me see what's attached to it. So here's what's attached to it. So I've got it comes up. And I've got all this foliage here. I have a branch above it that's a little bit better. There's a branch to the other side opposite it that's alive and thinner. That might be the one to remove. Tough decision, but it's just too thick being that high up in the canopy. You know, that branch thickness is about the same as, you know, these lower ones. So I have a feeling that's always going to spoil the design of the tree. So I'm going to cut it off. I have no idea what the tree's going to look like without this whole branch here. It's going to empty, but then, you know, you can grow branches to fill it in. So here I go. I just can't have that thickness of branch up there. So I'm going to cut it off, leaving a stub again, and then carving it back. So here I go. I think about here. Big cut. Coming up. Just like that. Oh, wow. Look at that. That's a whole tree I just removed. But, you know, necessary. So let's go back to our front now. See what I've got left, if anything. How does it look? Well, it definitely makes a difference, but I don't even know exactly where the front of this tree is going to be. Originally it was going to be somewhere around here, I think. Somewhere around there. So I've got a lot of deadwood on this side, so it kind of looks like the wind's blown and killed off everything on this side of the tree, and it's longer on this side. Almost like a windswept look to it, which I'm fine with. I think, you know, it's a good style. There's got to be a reason all this deadwood's here. All right, let's keep pruning here. So I've got the start of a pine cone here. Yeah, so we're starting to get up into the upper canopy here, which is kind of a nice rounded shape. There's a shoot going straight up here. It's the one that goes straight up here is the third branch. There's a division where it divides from 1 to 3. So I'm going to remove that straight up one right off. This vertical one, like that. You see that opens up a bit of space in there. There's another vertical one here I'm going to remove. Again, to open up some negative space between the branches. This one comes out and it divides from 1 to 3. The third one crosses underneath this branch, so I'm going to remove that. It doesn't flow at all. And then to get this compact, I've got this one hanging down here. I could prune it back shorter, opening up more negative space here, but I've got to see if that would look good, or does it look better with it hanging down. It kind of hides the branches behind here. I don't want, you know, lower branches, big space, upper canopy. I want some middle branches in here for sure. I'll leave that for another time, that decision. It's not hurting hanging down like that. And it's not out of the profile. This branch isn't super long or anything that I need to prune it back, so I'm going to leave it for now. There's a branch on the bottom here. I can remove it, a little shoot. Clean that up a bit. So I think that's got this branch pruned up. I don't see any major flaws with the branch. Divides nicely from 1 to 2. I guess I could take this one vigorous tip off here. It divides from 1 to 3 at the tip there. Maybe same with here. I could clean up some of these vertical ones. Prune that back a bit. Get some light to these lower branches. There's a little branch there. No, I think everything else is good on that branch. So let's rotate again. So there's another branch coming off right beside it, again in a whorl, which, you know, just happens on pines. There's a little shoot above here. If I wanted to shorten this, I could. And I do, because it's overhanging these branches. But I've got to see how far back. I don't want coming down and stepping out here. I kind of want it a bit of a transition. So at the moment I have that. If I cut that back, it rounds down, sticks way out here. You know, until I get these branches more compact, which will come. So I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with leaving this long. There's a third shoot growing vertically here I'll remove. There's another branch growing vertically here I can remove. Just thinning it out a bit. All the other branches are looking good. I do have, on the top here, I've got a thin branch growing upwards here. It's not doing any harm. It's kind of filling in the canopy there, so I'm going to leave it. It's got its own space. It's just doing well. Now, right from the apex, I've got a branch here. It cascades down nicely. I've just got to look at the structure of it, make sure I've got like 2 branches going right beside each other here. I think I like the lower one that it cascades nicely, but you can see there's no space between here, so I've got to prune it off and keep my upper one. Even though it's a really nicely formed branch. But you can see how that opened up a bit of space in here, which is really important on pines. To get some branch separation, you don't want a big green canopy on it, unbroken. You want it broken up. Okay. Yeah, quite a whirl here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 living branches coming from this layer of the whorl. I've seen a lot of trees ruined because they take every whorl down to 1 branch, and it just... I go looking at pines in nature and I see so many pines that have, you know, a whorl with all these living branches, and it looks fine. The only problem in bonsai is if you start getting, you know, a huge bulge here. But this one's not doing that. I mean, you could argue in this area it was starting to bulge here, but then it's all deadwood now, so it looks fine. It's something to watch out for. You know, in pines in nature, all the vigor goes up to the apex. So they just keep growing taller and taller. And these branches stay alive, but they're weak. So they don't get that big bulge here because, you know, all the energy isn't going into these side shoots. It goes into the top of the tree. In bonsai, it's a little different because we don't let the apexes grow wild and tall. We kind of keep them shaped. I've got a branch here. Let me rotate it around. You can see all this here that grows over top of another branch here. Really crisscrosses. You can see it here, how it grows from here, crisscrosses over top of this branch. I think that's got to come off. It just doesn't flow. It doesn't look good. I could remove the lower branch, but then this one still doesn't flow in a nice direction. Tough decision. Yeah, I'm going to take that off. It's just not a flowing branch. It's off. Whereas this branch, you know, it flows. Let's take some deadwood off here. Okay, let's go back to the front. I just want to make sure everything's on track here. Yeah, it's opening up a lot in here. You see some spaces. The tree definitely has changed style. You know, it's got that windblown look now. I feel like here's the highest point of my tree. If I round down, it's kind of high here. So I could take off this vertical part and keep my more horizontal branch. And I think I will. So here I go. This is a pretty big cut. Again. So here I go. This one's coming off like that. So that kind of rounds the canopy down a bit more. It looks better. Now I've got many, many buds at the tip here. I'm going to remove my vertical one here, like that. And then I don't want this one sticking straight up front. I'm going to keep a more horizontal one. I'm going sideways. This one's kind of pointing inwards. Get rid of that. So there, you can see I've really reduced that branch tip back. Got it flowing a bit better. A lot of buds up here. Too many to count. There's probably 12 to 15 buds up there. Yeah. Quite something. That's going to require a bit of thinning in the future. That branch is fine. This one, I've got kind of a cascading branch here. It kind of goes down vertical. I don't feel that suits the windblown style. You know, it would be like going back on itself if the wind was blowing. I think it would look better without that hanging one. Now that is a tough decision. Yeah, it doesn't look right from back here, so I'm going to remove it. That looks better. You see this branch tip I have divides to two again. I've got a really strong shoot up top I'm going to remove here. So I've got some buds underneath that are looking really good. Just kind of flattens that branch tip out. Okay, let me rotate again here. I'm going to look at this one. There's a very thick, vigorous section to this branch, which I'm thinking needs to be pruned back. It's got a million buds at the end. Maybe not a million, but very, very vigorous, and it's getting long, so I'm taking it back. Like that, taking that. I don't know if you can see all the buds in there, but they're just everywhere. Too much vigor. It's better to go into these other side branches here. Okay. Now there's another one hanging straight down here. I don't think I want that either. It looks a bit odd. It doesn't suit the style of the tree, so I'll prune that back. Like that. Let's go back to the front now. Boy, a tough decision on this branch. Kind of hangs down into these other ones. If I got rid of it, I'd have some space in here, but again, is that too much obvious staggering of branches? Or maybe it's good to keep a natural feature like that. I don't know. I think might be a decision for another day. All right, I've done a lot of pruning to this tree today. A lot of pruning. I feel it's looking too vigorous here, and it is. Oh boy, I'm going to remove this vertical shoot here. Take that off. The rest I have to leave. Just kind of balance the foliage now so it doesn't look like it's too dense in one spot. Yeah, here's a problem here. It's too dense here. I'll take this vertical shoot off. And this one too. Yeah, these apex, they can get dense really fast. All the vigor goes up here. And you have to thin them out. Otherwise they become a mass of branches. And you can't even see what's going on. They become super, super dense. I'm pruning off some of the vertical shoots. A bit of thinning. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at this for today. I think I've done enough pruning. I think it's time to let nature take over, to grow in spring. I will have to thin out some of these buds when they form. I'll have to do some bud selection or some shoot selection in spring. I'm trying to keep the branches dividing from 1 to 2, not 1 to 10. Because there is some pretty dense clusters of buds in some areas, but I'll wait until spring, till they start swelling into candles, and then I'll do some selection then. Here is a look at what I took off today. So a lot, like major branches. Yeah, some major work. There's a look at it all. Yeah, so I would say that's, well, it looks about half of the foliage has been removed from the tree. Definitely, yeah, I would say that's about half. I'd say about an equal amount here remains on the tree. Maybe not quite a half, but getting close. We should have a look at the tree from all angles. I can try rotating it around. I'll do that, and we'll just have a look at it from 360 degrees. It's a good idea. I can study the video, get some ideas for maybe possible fronts, future styling, and that kind of thing. All right, here I go with the rotation. So right now I've got the front kind of halfway between the handles looking straight in. So here I go, clockwise direction. A lot of dead wood on that side. So I'm coming around to the back now, which definitely looks like a back from here. Side view. You know, this could be a possible front in future. It's got kind of nice movement, but I still think, I don't know, maybe not flat on here, but something like this maybe is a good front. Anyway, those are the possibilities. There's a 360-degree rotation. Bit of crystallized sap there. Oh, it smells nice. I think that's going to be it for today. I'll leave these cuts I did today to dry out a bit, then I'll start doing the woodworking on those later on. I don't want to... I could do it while it's fresh like that, but I find the older wood kind of... If you work the older wood, it's tougher, and you tend to get a more realistic kind of break line. Let's fly in now and have a look at the tree from kind of a few different angles. So I've owned this tree for over half a year now. In July was my birthday, so yeah, I think, you know, I've done a fair amount of work to it actually for owning it for such a short time, and I think, you know, it's going to be quite a tree in the future. I think it's quite a tree now, but it just needs a lot of refinement to go. I think it's got a good basic style to it. It may not be everyone's taste, but for a naturalistic looking tree, I think it's looking quite nice. I don't want it to look like too perfect a tree where I have the left, right branch, back branch. I want it to look unusual, but still nice and natural, just like a tree you'd see in nature. You know, I don't want every branch to be boring. I want each branch to be different. I want them to be unusual, bending rules, you know. Yeah, so not a really conventional looking tree, but still very natural looking, if that makes sense. So here's my pine needles for insulation here. There's the base of the tree with my bonsai soil. So in the wintertime, it's frozen down here, but in the greenhouse, this will thaw out. In the winter, these pines, the roots will grow. Ray, whose nursery this came from, he says that even in like January, in his greenhouse, when he's repotting pines and that, you see white root tips where the roots are actually growing throughout the winter. As long as it's kept above freezing. If you keep it below freezing, they don't grow, but in these kind of conditions where I'm keeping it just above freezing, you will get root growth. So I'm hoping, you know, it stimulates roots to grow in this bonsai soil over the winter, and eventually I get a nice compact root base near the surface of the soil here where I can cut that bottom layer of roots off and get it into a bonsai pot. That would be just awesome. What a step ahead that would be for the tree. All right, I'm going to get the tree down from the bench now. Touchdown. Okay. I'll get cleaned up here, and then it'll be time for today's updates. My first update for today is this elm. I just dug this up from the backyard, and last summer, or spring, I don't know when I did a big top chop, so this tree was much taller. I kept my interesting trunk line, cut it off. I sealed it with the rubber cement. You can see it's still sealed there. it grew, a few more branches. So today I'm going to prune those long branches, whippy branches back once again and continue to develop this tree. All right, so I'm going to prune away. I'm looking for buds. You can see them here on the branches. I'm just going to cut this one off here. Just kind of shortening everything. This one I can see buds here, here. So I think I don't want like a straight leader here, so I'm going to prune it off right here, see what happens. All right, like that. And then these branches out the side here, I don't really want opposite branches. You can see this one's opposite these two. These are the weaker ones. If I get rid of those, I've got a nice division here, so I'll do that. So you can see I'm dividing from 1 to 2 now. Hopefully I'll get some more branches coming off those and start developing this upright branch structure. My rubber cement cut paste seems to be working really well, so I'll put a dab on these cuts here just to kind of seal them over so they don't dry out over the winter. Like that. A little stringy this stuff, but there. So that's sealed up. See what happens in spring, see what buds develop and how it grows. I don't think this one's due for repotting, but no, I don't think it is. I'll probably leave this one another year before I repot it. The next update are 2 trees, or 3 trees growing in this pot. I'm not exactly sure what this tree is. It looks like a red maple. And the one beside it, I'm thinking is like a poplar maybe. Something like that. It's kind of got the greenish trunk, pointed buds on it. I'm thinking it's a poplar. And the other one is a cutting off the tree that Matt gave me, which is over here. Way back here. And this is a Saguaro false cypress. So I took a branch off there and planted it in the pot as a cutting, and it's been green all summer, so I think it's rooted. So it's nice to know that they root from cuttings quite easily. So today I'm going to prune these 2 mystery trees up back to kind of stumps, let them regrow in spring. All right, let's see what's going on here. I'm coming up the trunk on the red maple. I can see there's dormant buds on the trunk. But I think I'll keep advantage. I've got a bud back here. I've got this branch coming up here. So I think I'm just going to take the top off right here. I've got a bud out front. It's still a fairly tall, skinny tree, but that's okay. Now this other one, I pruned it here. I'm wondering if I should go down lower. I think I will. I'm going to go lower on this one, back to here. Like that. So this is my new leader. This little false cypress, I'll prune it back also. Just pruning back some of the longer shoots, just to make it a little more compact. Like that. That'll do. I will put cut paste on these ones also. It might help hold the moisture in over the winter so it doesn't leak out too much sap. A little bit messy, this rubber cement, but okay, there we go. That work is done. Let's clean my finger off here. That can go back on the bench. I really enjoyed working on my 60th birthday Scots pine. It was nice to get it kind of pruned back and start that initial styling of it, sorting out some of that branch structure and getting it ready for growing in spring. There'll be lots more work to come on that tree. I've only just begun. So exciting work to come in the future for it. The repotting eventually. Yeah, it's going to be great. That is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.